So we now have a new American president. After months of excitement, months of curiosity, whether it be Donald Trump, whether it be Kamala Harris, well, the final vote has been counted or hasn't been counted. But even if it hasn't been counted in the US, what is quite clear is this, that after a long time, you have a scenario where both the Electoral College as well as the national popular vote, both overwhelmingly are with one side. And that is the side of Republicans. Sudeep and I have been trying to make sense of the entire election verdict and trying to turn the spotlight on why should you and I be bothered on this. So Sudeep, first and foremost, when we say that the Electoral College and, and the popular vote, both are now completely with Donald Trump, can the scenario change in any way, at least as far as the popular vote is concerned?
No, I don't think. I was looking at the numbers just before this. We've been following it since early morning. I don't think the numbers are now going to change in favor of either. Of course, the electoral votes are not going to change in favor of Kamala Harris, and neither is going to be. Is it going to be the popular vote? For the simple reason that actually, if you break it down by constituency, in many places, Trump is outperforming himself from his 2016 result, which frankly speaking, I think a lot of people didn't expect, which is why most exit pollers also got their projections incorrect.
We were looking at the story of the swing states. Now, if you really look at the voter turnout and the votes that have been counted now, even in these swing states, there really wasn't that much of a battle between the two sides, was there?
No, there wasn't much of a battle, in the sense that I think it would be unfair to say there wasn't much of a battle. There was a battle. It wasn't as much as people thought it would be. At the end of the day, Trump got all of the swing states to flip.
Because if you look at the map, you see the middle America. And the battle, in a sense, was being fought in this middle America, the church going, the traditional Native American vote, so to say. And the sentiment was that maybe a big chunk of this voter does not want Trump, while they may be aligned with the Republican Party. Have we seen any sentiment like that? I mean, does the data in any way throw up any light on that?
No, I don't. I think that's an overestimated, or I would say a guesstimate at best. The thing, what worked for Trump is very simply this. He, despite everything he did, his conviction, his misogyny, his racism, the fact of the matter is the American public was fed up with high prices, and inflation really hit their pockets, and immigration. And immigration is not the white voter saying, I'm scared of immigration. This is not the second generation or the third generation himself or herself from an immigrant family who's not scared of immigrants because they think that my job is going to go, And whereas the maximum support from the Democrats came on the question of democracy. Now, democracy, we know, is a nebulous concept, It's easy for us to talk about democracy given our positions in society and economically, but it's a nebulous concept. In India also we saw the same thing. When Rahul Gandhi said Samvidhan khatre mein hai, it got him some traction, but it didn't get him past the big number, right? That's exactly, I think, if you could make an apples to apples, at best, Kashmiri, like I said earlier, Kashmiri apples to Kinnaur apples, but apples to apples, this is the best comparison to make.
But why this result means so much? And I've often tweeted about this in the past as well. The reason why this result means so much, and specifically in an Indian context, is the arrival of Tesla chief, the present owner of X, a popular platform, Elon Musk. You know what, folks? I was on this election eve night. I spent 3 to 4 hours just listening to Elon Musk. He was there on a podcast. He was holding his own X spaces, and he had like hundreds of thousands of people from across the world. And man, does he really have some idea and some vision of what he really wants to do? He's talking about a trip to Mars as if it was a trip to Connaught Place in the national capital. He's talking about putting an entire generation of human beings on a different planet, and how this planetary positions now need to be looked at very, very seriously by international businesses. Would I be correct, Sudeep, if I was to raise this point, that Elon Musk effectively is going to be, what we say in our business, executive editor? executive president of the United States of America. Is that what we're looking at?
Elon Musk, funnily enough, himself cannot fight the elections yet because he's not a natural born American. He's a South African. The fact of the matter is, I was following it, like I said, since the morning, and we talked about this in the day. Who is being talked about? Trump, obviously, because of his big win. And the second person is Elon Musk. It is not J.D. Vance, who is the vice president. Even before the elections started, even before voting started, people were already talking about this. Is really J.D. Vance a placeholder for Elon Musk? And more it appears. And look at what Trump said. One of his early statements after claiming his win was to say that we need to protect our geniuses. And he had Elon Musk next to him. He said and he had words of praise only for Elon Musk at that point of time. Fact of the matter is, all of us need to watch out for that man, not only for his maverick creative genius, but also for the fact that he could be actually driving this presidency for the next 4 years.
His presence at a seat of power, it intrigues me and it excites me in equal measures. Because if the word disruption had a simile, I would say that simile would be with Elon Musk. The way Mr. Musk has gone about his business, where he's challenged pretty much all dogmas, pretty much all conventions that you can think of. Elon Musk sitting in a seat of power, advising the US president, as I said, donning the role of an executive president. How should we be looking at this in India? I was talking to Bharat Barai a short while back, a prominent Indian American, very close to the Prime Minister, someone who's been associated with organizing all of Prime Minister's trips in the United States of America. And he told me that one of the critical areas now of cooperation between India and the US is going to be defense spaces. Specifically in that space, the interest which Elon Musk has, how will Musk defense spaces and this collaboration between India and America, how will that play out?
So, see, let's just step back a little bit and go back about 6-7 months. There was a huge thing about Tesla coming to India, and Trump said that, Musk said that, I want to come to India. There was land apparently identified somewhere in Karnataka for the factory to come up. He had come to India, or he was supposed to come to India, eventually didn't. But it eventually turned out that he wanted lesser duties to be paid to the Indian government. Indian government said nothing like that is going to be happening. Then this whole business of Starlink, Starlink wanted to come to India. It was stopped by who? It was stopped by one of the biggest telecom players in the country, Jio, run by Reliance. Now, in a situation like that, where there is clear conflict between what the Indian industry wants and the protection that it gets from the government, vis-a-vis what Musk/Trump will want, there is going to be some kind of a conflict in that. Within the defense situation, it's a completely different ballgame, because the US is far advanced. India has opened up a lot of space for the Americans to come and make stuff here, and so on and so forth. So that might be a different game.
But let's just spend some time on Elon Musk, and let's just try and figure out what could be the potential changes that could be there in the making. Look at Mark Zuckerberg. One of the big investments which were made in Reliance was by Mark Zuckerberg himself. Whether it is Google or Mark Zuckerberg, all big US conglomerates have invested in Reliance in some form or the other. Stakeholders with Reliance. Now here comes Mr. Musk. Musk and Zuckerberg, their rivalries are all too legendary, all too well known. The challenges which have been there between the two platforms, between Facebook and X, are also there, all too well known. What is it that you think that Musk can really do? Look at how maximum volume of money which was raised in the US elections was raised in the form of cryptocurrencies. Would it be fair to say that now with Musk at the helm of affairs, the world, particularly India, we may well be forced to treat into territories that we may not have imagined, that potentially we're not thinking of right now? Could that be a possibility? Disruptions, moving in unfamiliar trajectories that we can't think of right now?
See, if you ask me, should we be doing it? Yes, we should be doing it. We should be getting into some kind of disruptive situations ourselves. We want to be on the global high table, but our thinking is still very conservative. So, as far as, for instance, cryptocurrency goes, Crypto is being used. I mean, I think Musk and Trump both launched their own bitcoins in crypto exchanges. But the fact of the matter is, the Indian government right now does not want to get into crypto. Can Musk / Trump talk the Indian government, sweet talk the Indian government, offer them something in return for crypto? Maybe that can happen. But that India needs to be willing to walk the talk, rather than saying that, we want to be on the global high table, but we will stay away from whatever actually puts you there.
Well, how very ironic. Just a few days back, Binance, one of the biggest crypto exchanges of the world, was organizing a blockchain technology week in Dubai, blockchain technology weekend in Dubai. And now there is going to be an event which is being organized by Binance in the national capital itself. So I'm just wondering whether now, with the change of power in the United States, Binance doing this event here, will all this now put pressure on India to move in a certain direction, and all that pressure could actually be led by Elon Musk? Would that be a fair way to read the situation?
If Elon Musk continues to be interested in India, if he still sees India as a big potential market / manufacturing hub, as Apple has done, and if he thinks that China +1 is India, then I think yes, it should, and I don't see no reason why you shouldn't be thinking of that. Again, I'm going back to, will the Indian government respond favorably? Yeah. That is the key thing.
Yeah, I think what will also happen is that you have a scenario where our own Prime Minister Modi now is in his third term, and he has his own domestic challenges. Haryana was won with great difficulty. Now there is Maharashtra. Then comes Delhi towards the end of the year. Next year, then there is Bihar or West Bengal. So on the domestic political turf, the Prime Minister is said to be challenged. No such problem for Donald Trump, now that he has both the Electoral College as well as the National Popular Vote, the Senate and the Congress, both completely backing him, unlike the story last time when he was the president. Donald Trump, at the age of 78, has proven the most that he could have, perhaps to his detractors, and therefore this presidency could very well end up being the most disruptive presidency that we may have seen in the recent years. For the Prime Minister in India, there are challenges on the domestic turf. Let's for a moment also just talk about Canada, Sudeep, for instance. Look at the kind of allegations which were flying around between Five Eyes and India, and a potential talk of our very own Home Minister being tried in Canada, a case being filed against him. Do you think, with the Republican regime, that heat which was being generated on India, do you find any substance in this theory that heat could subside?
See, the fact of the matter is this: Trump is what is his slogan? Make America Great Again. That means, he has a very muscular, much like our own Prime Minister and other such leaders in many parts of the world, very muscular approach to politics and nationalism. In that situation, I don't see how Trump can justify going soft on a case in which an American citizen was an assassination attempt was made on an American citizen. I don't see how he can go soft on that. But he does not have the best relationship with Trudeau. That is true. Trudeau has one more year to go. If he loses the election next year, then he's out in any case. My point is that Trump might have bigger issues to deal with than Trudeau. He's got to figure out a way of stopping the violence in the Middle East. He's got to figure out a way of figuring out whether he wants to continue to give money to Ukraine to fight Russia. And his biggest headache and his biggest problem is going to be China. Is he going to actually go ahead and do what he's saying to China and put a 30, 35, 40% tariff on Chinese goods? But that will disrupt the global economy in many ways if you were to do that.
Well, I also saw a statement which was made by Trump a couple of days back, where he was saying that I've spoken to Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, and I've told him that by the time I come back into presidency, I want this war with Palestine to be wrapped up. So there is Israel-Palestine on one side, there is Ukraine-Russia on the other side, there is a Chinese question on the third side, and then on the fourth, there is India's desire of getting a permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council. There is India's desire that all this needless heat which has been generated against India, that should be settled. A US district court issuing summons against our intelligence bureau chief, our raw operative being named. All these questions will have to be settled. Maybe under a democratic regime, maybe things were beginning to get a little uncomfortable for India. Maybe under a Republican regime, maybe those things may ultimately end up changing. But finally, Sudeep, how can we end this conversation without speaking about our very own Pradeep Gupta? I was amused. I was aghast. that Access My India chief Pradeep Gupta, and my good wishes to him, Access My India wants to stake claim for what they have done with Access My America. Now, boss, for God's sake, Pradeep bhai, the art of warfare, is what? To retreat when things are not in your favor. So for God's sake, give your viewers, give your own fans, some reprieve. Kuch time ke liye thoda chutti manaiye. Please stop taking credit for elections across the entire world. But thanks very much, Sudeep, for joining us. The focus on America will continue once we know what will be the charter of governance. Elon Musk, Donald Trump, charter of governance. It promises to be a very, very electrifying story to follow in the days to come.